This is the all-new Suunto Race 2, with an improved heart rate sensor, a larger 1.5-inch display, and a faster microcontroller and increased RAM, all packaged into a slimmer watch body. Let's dive in and check it out. It was May 14th, 2024. I had finally gotten my hands on the Suunto Race, which was a watch that was released about half a year earlier, and I was finding myself loving this big, bright AMOLED watch from Suunto. There was just one issue. The heart rate accuracy sometimes felt questionable. Fast forward another half year, and Suunto released the Suunto Race S. In good news, Suunto had fixed this heart rate accuracy issue with an all-new optical heart rate sensor. But now Suunto had another problem on their hands. It's hard to recommend the more expensive, higher-end Suunto Race when the Race S did pretty much everything the Race did with a more accurate sensor and at a lower price. Now, if you're in a hurry and you just want my quick take on the Suunto Race 2, I'm at least gonna try to be respectful of your time. I basically think that Suunto made the update that they desperately needed with the Race 2. They updated that heart rate sensor. But as you'll find in this full review here, there's a few more little things to this release and just like a few little details that I'm not like 100% in love with when it does come to the Race 2. Okay, so no need to bury the lead here. I want to get into some data. But first, here's what the new optical sensor on the Suunto Race 2 looks like, comparing it to the Suunto Race S, and it does look pretty familiar. And that's a good thing. I've had excellent results with the Race S and its optical heart rate sensor when comparing it to either a known good optical heart rate sensor or an ECG style chest strap, which I kind of consider the gold standard for heart rate tracking. Not that there can't be issues with chest straps, I just tend to think of them as kind of my control within these data sets. Here is the previous Suunto Race in blue for a 3.5 mile trail run, and it does okay. I mean, I wouldn't say it does fantastic here. Looking at the Race 2, also in blue for a very similar run. It was a 4 mile run instead this time. And you can see that we're doing significantly better here. Again, I'd probably define better as sticking closer to the watch that's connected to that ECG style chest strap. And in this case, that's the Garmin Forerunner 970 connected to a Garmin HRM Pro chest strap. And that's in the green line here. Now, I did have one run where the Race 2 was way off for the first mile, and then it locked on, and after that it was great. I'm guessing that this was probably some sort of like cadence lock issue, but yeah, it seemed to sort itself out pretty quickly, and it ended up doing pretty well the rest of the run. And yes, for any of you guys that are wondering, I do have a full review of the Garmin Forerunner 970 after having used it for a full 100 days. It's coming up in a few weeks, so do the thing, like and subscribe, or whatever people do in this YouTube world. But back to the Race 2, does this heart rate correction mean that you guys should immediately run out and buy this device? Well, I maybe. It definitely makes it easier for me personally to recommend this watch. But there's a few things that you're gonna wanna know before you get out and warm up that credit card. And first things first, you'll have to decide between the $600 titanium edition and the $500 stainless steel edition. Throughout this video, I'm gonna be showing the $500 stainless steel edition, and I think it looks like a nice watch. This watch is also bigger and yet lighter than the previous edition. Here, check out this massive 1.5-inch display. What's interesting here is that the size of this watch isn't that different than the previous edition because there's just less bezel here on this watch. It's also the same resolution as the Suunto Race 1, so that's 466 by 466 pixels, which I actually found kind of surprising. It's also a sleeker watch overall. The depth has gone down from 13.3 meters to just 12.5 millimeters. I actually always say that the depths of these watches, it's what makes them feel big and bulky on the wrist. And the Race 2 is also lighter. The original Suunto Race was about 83 grams for the steel version, 69 grams for the titanium. The Race 2 is now 72 grams for the steel and 67 grams for the titanium edition, which is still heavier than the smaller Race S, which comes in at about 60 grams for the steel and only 53 grams for the titanium edition. And then there were actually a lot of people out there that were complaining about the responsiveness of the Suunto Race. And they were complaining in particular about how slow it was when you used to do that kind of like raise to wake motion. The Race 2 has an upgraded MCU chip, which is about twice as fast as the Race 1 chip. So the UI should feel faster to us. It should feel more responsive and just like a little bit snappier. Scrolling on the map screen does feel pretty solid to me. Speaking of mapping, you can see roads and you can see trails. Trails are denoted with these little dotted lines here, but there's not gonna be details like road names or points of interest, anything like that on this particular set of maps on the Race 2. The Race 2 also has 32 gigs of storage for downloading these maps. And then let's look real quickly at the new magnetic charging dock. I'll say, that I am hopeful that Suunto can kind of standardize on one sort of charging dock. I don't want you guys to end up in some sort of situation where you can't find the replacement cable for the one kind of charger that's needed for your particular type of Suunto watch. Whenever you misplace this or end up breaking one of these chargers. But the watch band itself is 22 millimeter quick fit compatible. It's a silicone strap. I actually like the one that comes with the Suunto Race 2, but if that's something that you don't like, you could easily switch it out if you wanted to. Keep in mind that switching to a nylon band will significantly reduce the overall weight of this device as well. So you're probably thinking it's a bigger display in a slimmer watch body size. So what's the hit to the battery life gonna be? Here, check out this chart. The smaller, lighter Suunto Race S will go about 9 days with the display set to raise to wake mode. We can compare that to the bigger Race 1, which would go about 16 days. The Race 2 will go 18 days. So we're actually increasing the battery life just a little bit from the previous edition of this watch, which I think is pretty nice to see here. Now switching over to GPS accuracy for that same 4-mile trail run along the lake here. It's an out and back, so we should see all of these watches that we're comparing kind of double back on themselves. And to me, everything looks really great here. I actually have a few GPS comparison runs just like this one, and they all look pretty good to me. But check this out. This is an open water swim I did while wearing the new Coros Nomad on my left wrist and the Suunto Race 2 on my right wrist. I'm also using a Garmin Forerunner 955 on top of a pull buoy that I actually drag behind me while I'm swimming, and it doesn't ever dip into the water. Because really, that's where the struggle is gonna tend to happen when doing any of these open water trackings, when your arm's dipping in and out of the water. But I actually think that if we are looking at this and being hypercritical, I would say that the Suunto Race 2 doesn't follow our Control 955 nearly as closely as the Coros Nomad. Definitely not a huge deal here, but that slight variation in GPS track did result in about a 4 or 5% additional recorded distance. And for Suunto, they actually have different battery mode profiles, so the performance mode here, which is actually how it's set by default, and it's how I did all of my testing with this watch. It's using the most accurate GPS, which I'm actually assuming means that they're using the dual band GPS option, meaning that the watch is communicating with multiple types of GNSS satellite types, and it can connect to 2 frequencies of those satellites to provide the most accurate GPS signal possible. In this mode, you can expect about 50 to 55 hours of GPS battery life. There's other battery modes, other battery mode profiles in here. Endurance will go 60 to 65 hours, an ultra mode that'll go about 90 hours, and a tour mode that can get up to 200 hours. And the profiles do this by turning off various features, like the wrist-based optical heart rate sensor. It could be disabling maps, it could be disabling Bluetooth, and lowering the frequency of GPS logging all the way to something like 2 minutes instead of once every second. Now, real quickly, let's compare this watch next to some similar devices from other brands. This is the all-new Garmin Forerunner 970. I've been using it for about 100 days now, and it's an excellent device. The Race 2 has a larger display, but the Garmin watch has a more detailed map area and tons of recovery tracking features and connectivity options. But Garmin has actually been raising the prices of their devices lately. The 900 series typically cost around $600 in the past. This 970 now costs $750, which, it's definitely getting up there. And then here's how this watch looks next to the Apple Watch Ultra 2, which you can get on sale now for around $650, which is actually, it's a pretty good deal. I think that the main issue here is that you're looking at around 2 to 3 days of battery life versus the Suunto Race 2, which is gonna get you over a week in that always on display mode. And then last comparison here, last one, I do want to compare this to a watch that's a little bit more affordable. This is the T-Rex 3 from Amazfit, which also has a very large AMOLED touchscreen display, but it only cost $280. And don't get me wrong, the Suunto watch and the Suunto mobile app, I'd say is a lot more polished. But I've been very impressed with the value here of this T-Rex 3 watch. Okay, I have to admit, the one thing that I'm not 100% about with this Suunto Race 2, I actually kind of missed the raised, etched metal bezel of the original Suunto Race. I actually always thought that that watch looked really elegant or stylish. And to me, the Race 2, it's slimmer and lighter, but it looks very similar to the Race S, which, don't get me wrong, is an awesome watch. But it's an awesome watch because it's the slimmed down, more affordable Suunto watch without sacrificing much of the features. So, maybe the Race 2 is your choice for longer battery life, larger display, and the Race S for an even smaller, even more sleeker device. But I should mention that the Race S has Gorilla Glass, not sapphire like on the Race 2, and it's only good to a depth down to 50 meters as opposed to 100 meters on the Race 2. So my overall thoughts are that I really do think that Suunto fixed what they needed to fix with the Race model. And the other updates, they're definitely nice to have as well. It seems like it definitely rounds out all of the different Suunto watches a little bit better, with this one being kind of their high-end option. But what do you guys think? Are you guys excited about this Suunto Race 2? Do you wish that there was a bit more to this update? Let me know in the comment section. Comment section is right below the like button, and it's right below the subscribe button down below here somewhere. And either way, fancy new Suunto watch or no watch at all, I really do hope that you guys are getting out there, getting after it, and we will see you guys on the next one.